All right, so today I want to talk about the Pistons, and usually you expect one of these videos for me to be, very energetic, angry, in your face kind of thing. Well, with the case of the Pistons, right, I'm just kind of done with this. I'm just kind of like mellowed out. It's not like hopes are crushed. There's no hope to begin with at the begin, like after game 2 of the season. There's really no hope to begin with, and it just always goes downhill from there. And it's the same constant stuff year after year. Like the Red Wings are doing pretty good right now. The Lions are red hot, and the Tigers are at least have potential. Even though they squandered it, they had potential. And the Pistons, though, they just don't have that. There's a lot of reasons behind that. They've had it for a long time, and there's a lot of reasons for that. I think the first reason is coaching, and it's not as big of a reason as maybe some other teams are facing right now, especially in other sports, but also in the Pistons in the NBA or even in Detroit even. But it's a big reason. Dwayne Casey ain't it. Stan Van Gundy wasn't it. Any coach before him between like '08 and when Stan Van Gundy left and then Dwayne Casey, they're just not it. Okay, case closed. They're just not it. They're not horrible, but they can be very bad at game managing, and they just don't put players in good situations, and it just leads to bad situations all around. That's the first case season thing. And that's a big reason why they have the big playoff losing streak that they do. I believe it's one of, if not the largest playoff loss streak in not just the NBA, but in all four major sports. I think they're tied with like the Twins right now, like 16 straight playoff losses or something like that. And they've only made the playoffs like 3 times since like 2008 when they last won a playoff game, because they lost 4-2 in their series, and then they got swept in fifth. At least 2016 I remember, and 2019 was the last time they made it. They swept both those times. I think they made it a couple more times between then, but it's awful. How is coaching? Second is just bad luck, because they haven't had a ton of they haven't always had bad players between now and then. I mean, like Andre Drummond, he was a solid player for the Pistons, but they built nobody around him, and then he started not, and he couldn't carry the team like they expected him to, and then they traded him off to Cleveland, and now he's irrelevant. Blake Griffin, a horrible signing. He was injury prone, very inconsistent in his play, and he ate up a lot of money, and they sent him away, and he was just not the player they needed him to be. You look at some of their more recent draft picks. I mean, they had a great draft in 2021, drafting Cade Cunningham, #1 overall. He's been an amazing play for the team. But a lot of the other players that they drafted that I think had a lot of potential to become really good players, like Luka Garza, they just traded them all away because they realized that they didn't need them or something like that. It didn't make any sense to me. Maybe there's a reason why they got traded away. Maybe they just weren't up to their potential like they thought they were going to be. But I thought they were going to be pretty good players. Give them a couple months or a couple years. I thought they were going to be pretty good players. Turns out that wasn't going to be the case, I guess. And even this year they got Jaden Ivey. They were in works to get with the Kemba Walker. That turned out not to be. I guess he didn't want to play for Detroit. Sucks for him, I guess. But Jaden Ivey's been an amazing player for the team too. They have a lot of Stefan Bogdanovic, whatever his name is. They've had a lot of other solid players to work around that. But another problem is that just a lot of these players really just get injured. I mean, Jaden Ivey's been injured. Cade Cunningham's out for the season. Blake Griffin was injury prone. There's a lot of other players that were very injury prone. But even when all the players were healthy and they were all there and they were all firing on all cylinders, quote, quote, firing on all cylinders, it still doesn't fix the fact that they still can seemingly never close out games. It doesn't matter who they're playing, on the road, at home, in the playoffs, doesn't matter. They can seemingly not not even close out a game. I tell you, my time being a Pistons fan, which really hasn't been that long compared to a lot of other fans, it's been insane seeing how much this has been happening. It'll be every time. They will be up by like 8 or 9, or they'll be tied or up 1 or 2 in like the third quarter. And then at the end of the third quarter, you check on it with like 6 minutes left in the fourth, and they're down like 15. Every time. I mean, the Lakers, the Kings, the Nets, the Hornets, the Cavaliers, it does not freaking matter. And it happens in the playoffs too. They play the Bucks. They were 2 out of the 4 games they lost. They were up at halftime, and then they got their ass kicked in the second half, and they fucking lost both those games, and they got swept again. I mean, how many times if they're up, like Pistons 91, so and so 80 in the third quarter, and then the final score, so and so 120, Pistons 105. It's not even a close finish. It's not like it was down to the wire, it went to overtime or nothing like that. The Pistons just decide at some point in the third quarter, or like the second half or something, to just check out for the rest of the game, let this other team just catch fire like they're nobody's business, and just run all over it. Run over the Pistons, and then they just give away all these games. Don't understand it at all. And that's the main problem with the Pistons. It's just that despite who they draft, who they try to get, who they hire, nothing fixes it. Moving to Little Caesars Arena and abandoning the Palace, that didn't fix it either. I don't know. I mean, how do we fix it? You learn to close out the damn game. That's what you do. The future is still pretty bright. They're going to get some good picks this year for sure. They're going to tank. They've already got some solid pieces still. A lot of the secondary players are getting lots of more playing time than they thought they would because the starters are all out. They've been performing at a pretty good level. And I think they got a lot of depth. And I think they can build on this for next year. This year, probably not. No way in hell they make a Lions-style comeback in this with their shitty playing. But maybe next year. But everybody's probably been saying that for like 15 years now. You know what sucks even more? Is that they won they won 3 championships. How? and also these colors. They're probably in the teal, and they do a green and white city jersey. What? The teal's pretty nice. I like the teal. The green and white sucked. I don't know. They're just a team you look over when you talk about the NBA. Sucks being a Detroit fan sometimes, but hey, we got the Lions. Maybe. We got the Red Wings. Maybe. And the Tigers. You have to wait till next summer when I rant on them.